My wife told my 10-year-old son that I almost left her when she was pregnant with him. My son Ethan came home from school on a Tuesday. Normal day. Backpack on the floor, shoes kicked off. He walked into the kitchen where I was making dinner. He looked at me. Not the way a 10-year-old looks at his dad. The way a man looks at someone who wronged him. He's 10. He should be looking at me like I'm a superhero. Instead, he's looking at me like I'm a defendant. He said, "Dad, is it true you almost left before I was born?" My hand stopped mid-stir. The pasta was boiling over. I didn't move. I couldn't, because that sentence came from somewhere and I knew exactly where. Who told you that? Mom. My wife told our 10-year-old son the one thing I swore would stay buried for the rest of my life. The one moment I've spent a decade trying to erase with every bedtime story, every soccer practice, every morning I made pancakes shaped like dinosaurs because he asked once when he was 4 and I never stopped. I need to explain what happened because it matters. 10 years ago, Rachel was pregnant with Ethan. We were 24. We had $800 in savings. I was working 2 jobs. She'd just been let go from hers. We were living in a 1-bedroom apartment with a leak in the ceiling and a landlord who answered calls every 3rd Tuesday. We were broke. Not tight month. Broke. Choosing between groceries and gas. Broke. One night I panicked. Not a small panic. The kind that takes your breath. The kind where every wall in the apartment closes in and the math doesn't work no matter how many times you run it. I told Rachel I didn't know if I could do this. I said the words out loud. Maybe this isn't the right time. I didn't say I was leaving. I said I was scared. There's a difference. But the words landed like a grenade. Rachel cried. I cried. We sat on the kitchen floor of that apartment for 2 hours. I held her stomach and I felt Ethan kick and something inside me clicked into place. I said, "I'm not going anywhere." I meant it. I've meant it every day since. The next morning I picked up a 3rd job. Weekend landscaping. Cash under the table. I saved $4,000 in 3 months. We moved to a bigger apartment before Ethan arrived. I was in the delivery room. I cut the cord. I held him first because Rachel was exhausted and she said, "You take him. You earned this." I earned this because I stayed. Because I chose. Because one terrible night of panic didn't define me. 10 years of showing up did. And my wife just handed that one night to our son like a grenade with the pin already pulled. I put the spoon down, turned off the stove, walked into the bedroom where Rachel was folding laundry. "You told Ethan I almost left." She didn't flinch. She said, "He asked why we fight sometimes." I was being honest. Honest? He asked about arguments and you told him I almost abandoned him before he was born? I didn't say abandoned. What did you say? I said Daddy thought about leaving once, but he stayed. He's 10. He doesn't hear, but he stayed. He hears Daddy thought about leaving. That's all a 10-year-old brain keeps. You just told our son his father considered a world without him. He's going to carry that. Not for a week. Forever. She put the laundry down. Maybe he should know the truth. Maybe he should know that love isn't automatic. That people choose to stay. He's 10, Rachel. He doesn't need a philosophy lesson about commitment. He needs to believe his dad wanted him from the second he existed. But you didn't. That sentence hit me so hard I sat down on the bed. Because she's right. For one night, I didn't. For one night, I was 24 and broke and terrified. And I said something I've regretted every day since. And she just confirmed that she's been holding it for 10 years. Waiting. Keeping it loaded. And when Ethan asked a simple question about arguing, she fired. I said, "Is this about Ethan or is this about you?" She went quiet. Then she said, "Maybe both." Both. She told our son because she still carries that night. She hasn't forgiven me. 10 years of pancakes and soccer games and bedtime stories and she still hasn't forgiven the version of me that existed for 6 hours on a kitchen floor when I was 24. I went back to the kitchen. Ethan was sitting at the table, drawing like nothing happened, except something had happened. A 10-year-old now knows his father hesitated, and hesitation to a child sounds exactly like rejection. I sat across from him. I said, "Ethan, before you were born, I was scared. Not of you, of whether I could give you a good life. I was young and I didn't have much money and I was afraid I wouldn't be good enough." He looked at me. "But you stayed?" I stayed, and it was the best decision I ever made. "You are the best thing that ever happened to me. Not because it was easy, because I chose you every single day." He nodded, then said, "Can we have pizza instead of pasta?" He moved on. Kids move on. But I know that sentence is stored somewhere in his brain, and one day, maybe at 16, maybe at 25, maybe when he becomes a father, it's going to resurface. And he's going to wonder for half a second if his dad really wanted him. And I'll spend the rest of my life making sure the answer is obvious. Rachel and I talked until 2 a.m. that night. She admitted she told him out of anger. Not at Ethan. At me. About a chore argument we had that morning. She was mad about dishes. Dishes. She weaponized the worst night of my life over dishes. She apologized. She cried. I believe she's sorry, but the words are out. You can't put them back. Some mistakes are made in a moment and fixed in a lifetime. I made mine at 24 on a kitchen floor. She made hers at 34 over a laundry basket. We're both paying for them now.